Welcome back, viewers. Today at Pointers Rest, I'm going to teach you how to drive a tractor. Let's get to it. Alright, so you've got yourself a hobby farm and you're probably asking the question, do you need a tractor? Well, as a general rule of thumb, depends what you're doing with your property. If you're running, I'm going to say probably 5 acres or more, then yes, it's a good idea to have a tractor. It doesn't need to be as big as this one. They do come a lot smaller, but it will make your life a lot easier if you're running acreage. So this particular one is a 45 horsepower Mahindra, and what I'll do is I'll give you a quick tour of the tractor, and we'll run through some basic safety checks you should do before you start operating your tractor, and then we'll get in the driver's seat and I'll show you how the controls work and how to drive one, because they are very different to a car. So let's get stuck into it. One of the first things I always do before I even get up on the tractor to start it and use it is I just have a quick look at the tyres and make sure they've got the appropriate air pressure in them. So if one of the tyres is getting a bit low, then one of these pumps is not going to cut it. Look at the size of that thing. So another good tip is if you're running acreage, you really need to get yourself an air compressor with a tyre inflation nozzle on it. Not just handy for tractors. I use it on the trailers, on the ride-on mower, our own vehicles, and use it for many other activities as well, not just for pumping up tyres. Now the front tyres on the tractor will inflate exactly the same as your car tyre, so through the valve here, and the side of this particular tractor will tell me what the PSI rating is. So it's telling me in the field I should be running it at 12 PSI. For the front, and the rear would also be 12 PSI. The rear tyres, however, are a little bit different. They're filled with water, and if I push the valve here, I'll get in close, you'll see water comes out if I push it. So you're probably thinking, well, how do you get air into that? What you need to do is park the tractor so that that nozzle would be up the top, and then you will be able to get air into it, because the water is actually not filling the entire tyre. It's probably only filling about 3/4 of it. Another question you're asking, and I know I certainly asked this question, was why is there water in the tyres? It's to provide extra weight for the tractor and to help it be more stable on the ground, especially on sloping grounds, and will help prevent it from rolling over, because unfortunately tractors are prone to rolling over just by their design. So the heavier the tractor is, then the less prone to rolling when you're driving on sloping grounds, and also when you're lifting heavy things with the front forks. Okay, so here we are up in the cockpit of the tractor. Now what we have here on just under the steering wheel is a couple of stalks. So this one here, so that's your throttle or your accelerator. So it's not foot operated, you operate the accelerator with your hand. And then on this side, this lever here will operate the forward and reverse gears. So I'll push it up for forward and I'll bring it down for reverse. And in the middle is neutral. Unlike a conventional car, you actually have 3 separate gearboxes or transfer cases in this tractor and probably most tractors. So as well as the lever here to select forward and reverse, down here I have this lever which is a high or low range transfer case. So push it forward, which will put it in low range, or back if I want it in high range, much like a 4-wheel drive. So I guess the way to remember it is low range will be for low speeds and more power, more torque, and I would put it in high range for higher speeds. And then over to the right I have a gear shift lever. This is probably looking a little bit more like a traditional gear shift lever you'd see on a manual car, and you can see I've got 4 gears. So essentially it's an 8-speed, so I've got 4 gears in low range and 4 gears in high range. Now down here at my feet on the left I have the clutch pedal, operates the same as a clutch on a manual car. And then over to my right is the brake, the foot brake. Now the interesting thing with tractors is you can operate the left or the right side brakes individually. I haven't had to do that, so I usually keep the pedals locked with this lever here. If I undo the lever, you'll see that the pedals now separate. So you can operate the left and right side brakes individually if you need to. For certain farming applications that would be required, but for what I do, I keep that lever down and I just keep them locked, operating both sides simultaneously. To operate the park brake on this particular tractor, what I need to do is, over here I've got a lever. I pull this lever up whilst at the same time pushing my foot down on the park brake. So I'll pull the lever up and then I'll push down, and you should hear a number of clicks, and then the pedal stays down, which tells me that the park brake is now activated, and this lever here is now remaining in the up position. Now there are a few more controls on the tractor which I won't go into too much detail today, because this video is primarily about driving the tractor in terms of operating certain pieces of equipment that might be attached to the back. We do have different levers, such as down here, which operates the PTO at the rear, and then over here a hydraulic system which will raise and lower any attachments on the rear. But I'll go through the process of all that in a different video. Oh, one other thing, I also like to make sure that the throttle is in the lowest position, just so it's not pumping too much fuel in there on initial startup. Okay, give it some throttle. Select forward, low gear, second, release the park brake, and we're ready to go once I start releasing the clutch. Actually, before I even go, I'll make sure the front end loader is up, which it is. Now we can go forward. So the engine's, you can hear it's probably sputtering a little bit. It's under a bit of load. I'll give it a few more revs. And there we go. If I want to go quicker, I can move it up to 3rd gear. You can see I've come to a complete standstill. It will take off comfortably in 3rd gear. Alrighty, so a little bit different to driving a car, but after a little bit of practice, it is not difficult at all. So what I did there, just before I shut it off, I put my throttle back up to the lowest position, and then just turned the key off. If I was going to leave the tractor or get out of the driver's seat, I would first make sure that my front end loader is all the way down. It's coming down. It's now on the ground. Same if I had an implement on their back, I would make sure it's lowered all the way down. And then what I like to do is leave the tractor in gear, so I'll put that usually in first. I'll leave that in low range, and I'll leave that in forward gear, and I'll put the park brake on. It is now safe to leave the driver's seat. Well, I hope you enjoyed that short video on how to drive a tractor. It's just the basics. There are a few more things to learn, but that would get you going anyway. I just want to point out 3 very important safety things, and they are: number 1, if you're in the market for a tractor, make sure it's got rollover protection. So that's actually what this bar is for here, as well as having a roof on it, keeps the sun off me. This will prevent the tractor from rolling completely over if it was to tip. So my understanding is it's now law, and has been for a long time in Australia, for all new tractors to have one of these. But if you're buying an older one in particular, it may not have it. So if it doesn't, either get it fitted or may even consider walking away. Second thing I'll point out is tractors can get quite loud. I always keep a set of earmuffs on the tractor, and I will use them when I'm operating it. You only get 2 of these, so save your ears. And the third thing is, when you're getting on and off the tractor, which you'll need to a bit, just to open up gates, farm gates, etc., put the park brake on, turn it off. The last thing you want is to have a tractor that's idling, inching forward and running you over. Unfortunately, a lot of accidents do happen on farms. Most of them can be avoided just by slowing down and putting your safety first. So if you're getting off the tractor, park brake on, switch it off, open the gate, do what you need to do, get back on, start her up, and you shouldn't have any problems. All right, so in saying that, I will now leave you with this tip of the day. Again, if you like these videos and you find them useful, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Hey, could you please open the gate for me?
Come on, you know it's too heavy.
Yep, no worries. Forgot.
Thank you.
Some of you viewers can probably relate to this. You're in the car with a smaller person, and the old farm gate's just a bit too heavy for them to open up. So a top tip for you is you can do what I've done here. Fit a wheel to the gate, which will take a lot of the weight off. The person holding the gate will transfer the weight to the wheel, makes it a lot easier to open up. So let's have a look at how different this scenario would be if you had a wheel fitted to your gate as well.
I'll get it.
Oh, thank you. Makes a world of difference having that wheel on the gate. Now I don't need to get out of the car. Nah, come on, get in. I'm only joking.
Sam.
Yeah. Nah, I'm serious this time. Get in, get in. See? It'll make a world of difference to you. Happy wife, happy life.